Isn't it wild how unpredictable sports can be?
Yeah.
One minute you think you've got it figured
Yeah.
out, the next.
Utter chaos.
Exactly. And yet we're all kind of obsessed with trying to find that crystal ball, that little hint of what's coming.
It's human nature, I think, trying to predict the future.
Well, okay, let's unpack this because today we're diving headfirst into exactly that. We've got this fascinating report here, just released from the Gambler's Ruin Project, and it's powered by SmartBet AI technology. So we're moving beyond gut feelings here.
Absolutely. This is all about the data for an upcoming English Champions League match.
Which one are we looking at?
We're focusing on Coventry City versus Middlesbrough FC. It's scheduled for May 3rd, 2025 at the Coventry Building Society Arena.
Got it. And the report even mentions conditions.
It does, yeah. Partly sunny, pleasant, about 65 Fahrenheit. But there's a bit of wind easterly at 14 mile per hour, gusting up to 30. That could play a role.
Interesting detail. So this SmartBet AI, it's not just a fancy name for a coin flip, right? The report says it uses a hybrid architecture for probabilistic forecasting.
That's the gist of it. Think of it as like combining different expert views, but the experts are algorithms.
Okay.
At its core, it uses something called Poisson regression. That's a statistical way to estimate basically how many goals each team might score.
Right.
Then it adds layers on top of that. Predictions from different machine learning models, things like random forest, XGBoost, and a type of neural network called an MLP. They all try to predict the final result, win, draw, or loss.
Wow, okay, so it's like having a panel of really, really data-savvy analysts looking at the game from, well, different angles.
Precisely.
And our mission today, then, is to sort of strip away the jargon and really understand how this AI sees the match unfolding. What insights can you actually get? Consider this your fast track, maybe, to understanding sports prediction complexities.
A good starting point.
So where does this data journey begin in the report?
Well, a logical first step is the teams themselves. Injuries, availability. That's crucial.
Makes sense.
The report gives us a quick rundown. For Coventry, Onanyeli Dovin is out with a knee injury. Expected return is around May 17th, so he definitely misses this one.
Okay, not news. And Middlesbrough.
Their keeper, Seni Dieng, is listed with an other injury. But here's the interesting part. His expected return is May 3rd.
The day of the match.
Exactly. So his availability is a bit of a question mark right up to kickoff. Something to watch.
Definitely. Crucial info on who might actually be playing. Now, the report also mentions ELO ratings. I hear that term thrown around a bit. What are they telling us here for Coventry and Middlesbrough?
Yeah, ELO ratings are basically a dynamic power ranking. They change based on who you play and the result. Win against a strong team, your rating goes up more. Lose to a weaker one, it drops more.
So it reflects historical strength.
Exactly. It gives you a sense of overall form and class based on past performance. According to this report, Coventry's ELO is 1,559.911.
And Middlesbrough.
Theirs is 1,507.20.
Okay, so based purely on that historical track record, Coventry has a slight edge, according to ELO.
A slight one, yes. That's what the numbers suggest.
Interesting. So historical edge to Coventry. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty of predicting goals. Poisson regression sounds very statistical.
It is, but the concept isn't too scary. Think of it as estimating counts. How many times is something likely to happen? In football, that something is goals.
Right.
It looks at factors like pass scoring, defense, home advantage, recent form, even those ELO ratings we just mentioned.
And tries to predict the number of goals for each team in this specific match.
Precisely. It calculates an expected number of goals.
Okay, so what are those expected numbers? The baseline prediction.
For this match, the initial Poisson model predicts Coventry scores around 3.23 goals.
And Middlesbrough.
Middlesbrough is actually predicted slightly higher at 4.0 goals.
Whoa, hang on. That's surprising, isn't it? Coventry had the higher ELO, but this model predicts more goals for Middlesbrough.
Yeah, that's an interesting initial finding. It suggests other factors in the model might be outweighing the ELO difference for this specific matchup.
Okay, this is where it gets complex. The report then mentions bootstrapped Poisson regression. What does adding bootstrap do? Is it like pulling itself up by its bootstraps?
Sort of. Bootstrapping here is about understanding uncertainty. Instead of just one number, like 4.00 goals, it runs the simulation, say, 1,000 times based on those rates.
Okay, like playing the game 1,000 times on paper.
Kind of, yeah. It gives a range of likely outcomes, not just a single point estimate. So we get a 95% confidence interval.
Which tells us.
It gives us a range where we can be 95% confident the actual number of goals will fall based on the model's assumptions. For Coventry's home goals, the Bootstrap prediction is about 3.13, but the confidence interval is huge. 0.0 all the way up to 7.0 goals.
0 to 7, that's quite a spread.
It is. And for Middlesbrough's away goals, the prediction is 4.04, with a confidence interval from 1.00 to 9.00 goals.
1 to 9. So yeah, these models are good, but predicting exact scores is clearly still really tough. That range shows the possibilities.
Absolutely. It highlights the inherent randomness in a single football match.
Makes sense. Now, the report gives a peek under the hood at what these Poisson models actually weigh up. You mentioned form, home advantage.
Yeah.
What else?
Right. It lists form, home advantage, expected goals, or XG, which measures chance quality betting market probabilities, injuries, goal efficiency, defensive strength, and those ELO ratings.
A lot goes in. Were any of those factors particularly significant or influential in these specific predictions?
Yes, the report flags a couple of things. For the Coventry goal model, the market probability of a Coventry home win was a significant positive factor.
Meaning if the betting odds favor Coventry at home, the model expects them to score more.
Essentially, yes. And similarly, for Middlesbrough's goal prediction, the market probability of an away win was a strong positive indicator for their goal count.
Okay, that makes intuitive sense. Anything else jump out?
Well, there's an intriguing twist. Coventry's higher ELO rating. It actually shows up as a statistically significant negative factor in their own goal prediction model.
Wait, so having a better historical rating in this model's view for this game suggests fewer goals for Coventry?
That's what this specific model summary indicates, yeah. It's counterintuitive, but sometimes these complex models find relationships you wouldn't expect. It could be interaction effects with other variables.
Fascinating. That's the kind of unexpected insight you only get digging into the data like this. Okay, so that's the goal prediction side. How does the AI predict the overall winner, loser, or draw? It mentions machine learning classifiers.
Right. So beyond just goals, SmartBet AI uses 3 different machine learning approaches to predict the win-draw-lose outcome directly.
And those were?
Random forest, XG boost, and an MLP neural network.
Can you give us the quick version of what they do?
Sure. Think of random forest as like building lots of decision trees based on historical match data and then taking a vote. XG Boost is a more powerful, refined version of that, very good at finding complex patterns. The MLP neural network is inspired by the brain. It learns intricate relationships in the data that might predict outcomes.
Different ways of learning from the past to predict the future.
Pretty much.
And what did these individual models predict for this Coventry-Middlesbrough game, for the home team outcome?
Okay, so the random forest model predicted a draw.
A draw, right.
XG Boost predicted an away win for Middlesbrough.
Away win.
And the MLP neural network also predicted an away win.
So 2 out of 3 point to Middlesbrough winning, 1 points to a draw. No models predicting a Coventry win directly.
Not these specific classifiers, no.
Interesting. The report also gives accuracy scores for these models. What do those tell us? Should we trust one more than others?
The accuracy scores and things like the macro average give you a sense of how well these models performed historically on past data they weren't trained on.
So how often they got the win-draw-lose prediction right in the past?
Exactly. Higher scores generally mean more reliable past performance. The macro average is useful because it shows performance across all outcomes, win, draw, and lose. So the model isn't just good at predicting, say, home wins.
Gotcha. So it gives us some confidence level, but no guarantees for this specific match.
No guarantees, just performance indicators based on history.
Okay, so we had these individual machine learning predictions. Sure. 2 away wins, 1 draw. But then there's a stacked ensemble result. What's that?
Stacking, or using an ensemble, is basically a way to combine the predictions from the individual models.
Like getting a final consensus from the panel of experts.
That's a great analogy, yeah. It often leads to a more robust and sometimes more accurate overall prediction than any single model on its own.
And what did the stacked ensemble conclude for this match?
The final stacked result for the home team outcome is away win.
Away win. Okay, so bringing the machine learning models together reinforces the prediction leaning towards Middlesbrough.
It seems so, yes.
Now, there's one more layer here. The Monte Carlo simulations for outcome probabilities. We touched on this for goals, But how does it apply to the overall win-draw-lose result?
Right. It takes those predicted goal rates from the Poisson model, the 3.23 for Coventry and 4.00 for Middlesbrough as a starting point.
Oh.
Then it simulates the match, thousands of times, the report says, 10,000 times using those rates but incorporating randomness. Each simulation produces a score line.
And by running it 10,000 times.
You can count how many times Coventry won, how many times Middlesbrough won, and how many were draws. That gives you the final probabilities for each outcome.
Very clever. So what are those probabilities from the 10,000 simulated matches?
According to the simulation, Middlesbrough, the away team, has a 54.12% chance of winning.
Over 50%. Okay, that's pretty strong.
It is. Coventry's chance of a home win is calculated at 30.99%.
And the draw.
The probability of a draw comes out at 14.89%.
Right, so the Monte Carlo strongly favors an away win, aligning with the stacked ML models. Does it give likely score lines too?
It does. Based on those 10,000 simulations, the top 4 most likely scorelines were: number 1 is 3-4, an away win for Middlesbrough with a 4.57% chance.
High scoring.
Very close behind is 2-3, another away win at 4.53%. Then a 3-3 draw is third most likely at 3.98%.
Still high scoring.
And fourth is 2-4, another Middlesbrough win at 3.95%.
Fascinating. So the most likely outcomes are all quite high scoring and mostly favoring Middlesbrough. It seems like the different parts of the analysis are converging, don't they?
They largely are, yes. The Poisson model pointed to higher expected goals for Middlesbrough. The machine learning ensemble predicted an away win, and now the Monte Carlo simulation, based on those goal rates, gives Middlesbrough the highest win probability and suggests high-scoring affairs.
Why do you think we see this convergence? Is it just that the underlying data is strong?
That's likely a big part of it. The Poisson model focuses heavily on scoring potential based on stats like XG, efficiency, and defense. The machine learning models might pick up on broader patterns, maybe recent form trajectories, tactical matchups learned from history, things beyond just raw goal numbers. The Monte Carlo then kind of bridges the gap, translating goal potential into win probabilities. When they all point roughly the same way, it suggests the signal in the data, whatever aspect each model emphasizes, is pushing towards that Middlesbrough advantage in this particular case.
Right. It gives you more confidence when different methods looking at slightly different things arrive at a similar conclusion.
Exactly. It doesn't make it certain, but it strengthens the finding.
Okay, let's try and synthesize all this then. If someone asked for the bottom line from this SmartBet AI report on Coventry versus Middlesbrough, what are the key takeaways?
Well, the main takeaway is that the analysis consistently points towards Middlesbrough having the edge. The Poisson models suggest they're likely to score more goals. The combined machine learning models predict an away win. And the Monte Carlo simulation gives Middlesbrough a solid 54% probability of winning, likely in a relatively high-scoring game.
So multiple angles suggest an advantage for the away side.
That's the overall picture painted by this specific AI analysis, yes.
And of course, we have to reiterate for everyone listening, these are probabilities, forecasts based on data and algorithms. They are absolutely not guarantees.
Absolutely not. Football remains gloriously unpredictable.
This is all for informational and hopefully entertainment purposes. And responsible engagement is key.
Always.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for you to think about. We've looked at ELO ratings, goal predictions, complex machine learning, simulations, all these different factors. In your own mind, what single element do you think ultimately has the biggest influence on the outcome of a football match?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. Something to ponder long after the algorithms have done their work.